All right, Law of the Luminaries. This is my Enoch mini-series, starting with chapter 71. Before we get to this, though, we have to get a little bit of basics down in understanding the book of Enoch. He's explaining tropical astrology, and what that means is the sun moving from tropic to tropic. So it ends up looking like this. Here's Aries at the equator here. The sun moves up to Cancer. That's when it's really high in the summertime for north of the Tropic Cancer, north of the equator, and then low in the wintertime here at Capricorn. So these are visual positions. So he's explaining this movement, and he does that through two words in different versions. One is gates and one is portals. So the gates represent the sun's movement, transitioning from 30 or 31 circles around and then into the next gate. 30 to 31 circles around, then into the next gate. So each of these gates are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He also uses the word gate to represent the sun, kind of like on a compass. This would be, again, for north of the equator. So he uses gates like a compass, like a traditional compass, but south is a solar noon for north of the equator. North would be midnight, and then east is when your sun rises in the east, and west is when your sun sets in the west. So south actually means sun side. That's why it's at noon here. And north actually means to the left of. So that means to the left of sunrise is north. This would be midnight. Again, this is all for north or inside the Tropic of Cancer. For the area inside here. So he uses the word gates or portals to represent these positions here as well. So he uses them interchangeably between this and this. Okay, so that's a couple of basics in understanding Enoch. Now his gate system looks like this. Aries here at the equator. This is gate 4. And what that means is the sun is midpoint in the sky. So on our vortex, the sun would be like midway here. So 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. And the gates he later on calls out as important gates or makes special reference to is this gate, this gate, this gate, and this gate. So in the sky, those 4 gates at solar noontime would be in this position here, your sign of the cross. So these are the gates, and what's interesting about this setup is every cross gate, so 4 and 3 will equal a 7. 5 and 2 equals 7. 6 and 1 equals 7. 6 and 1 equals 7. 5 and 2 equals 7. 4 and 3 equals 7. So what you end up having is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 sevens. And 6 times 7 is 42. Now reverse that. And and you have 24, and this is a 24-hour clock. So what's interesting also about the 6 sevens is this phrase called 6 resting on 7. What that means is 6 days of creation, the 7th day was rest. So 6 times 7 is 42. 42 comes up in the book of Revelation several times too, as the beasts of blasphemy will rule for 42 months. 42 months is 3 years, 6 months. So it's just representing a 360 circle again. And 4 and 20 elders comes up in book of Revelation. 4 and 20 elders, again, referencing a 24-hour clock. Reversed is 24 hours. There's other things you can pull out with those numbers, but we'll try to keep it simple. Okay, so 6 times 7. So before we get into chapter 71, 6 resting on 7. Now what's interesting about 6 resting on 7 is every 7th thing in these examples I'm about to give you equal a 1. So for example, 6 days of creation, on the 7th day, God rested, it says. Okay, so 6 days of creation, 1 day of rest. You have your chakras. You have your 6 chakras up to your 7th chakra. That 7th chakra is represented by 1,000 lotus flower petal, 1,000 petals. 1,000 is 1. You have your 33 vertebrae, which is 6, going up to your pineal gland, or your enlightenment, coming into a oneness, if you will, up to your 7th chakra, again, that opened eye, one eye. You have Christ's crucifixion year being 33 years old, so 3 and 3 is a 6, and the crucifixion means to make stronger, essentially, that oil. And then what the story tells us is that, or the mythology tells us, is that then he becomes one with his father. So another 1. So 6 and 1. So we have 16. Reverse that is 16. So this number becomes interesting a little later on. Oh, one more. Star of David. Like this. So what you have with the Star of David is these 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then in the center here, you have the 1 diamond. So the 6 resting on 7, or the 6 and 1, 16. This side of the sky wheel is the spiritual side. And this side is matter or form. So you, on the sky wheel, Aries being the first position, not in Enoch's system, but in general, the first position, you have 6, I drew it here, 6 spiritual positions resting on the 7th, Libra, balance. So Libra, the balance, is the first physical position. So the 6 spiritual resting on the physical. So you need the physical to balance the spiritual, is another way to say it. Okay, so back to the Star of David. Here we have the jewel, the diamond here in the center, becoming 1. See these 6 entrances here are Enoch's 6 portals here. So the portals are positions of the sun in the sky, the 6 up and then the 6 back down. And that is indeed what we're talking about, is sun positions, not constellation. This is the sun and the position in the sky. Those positions happen to be named after constellations, or constellations named after the positions. So again, not constellation. This is the physicality of the sun in the sky. For example, Aries. When the sun is in Aries, it means it's in this position in the sky. This is the science that these books use. Okay, back to the Star of David. So you have that center diamond, that 1, or the 6 resting on 7. Notice also, 7 and 1 are very similar in the way they look. So the 1 is becoming one with, in other words, and this is the jewel, the diamond. Okay, the jewel. Okay, this is not a population of people. These are people who have risen their chrism oil. The Jew, the person becomes the jewel, because that oil gets refined up in the pineal gland and gives you the 3 most important hormones: serotonin, melatonin, and dopamine. And in order to get that jewel, it has to react with the minerals in your body, which react with the daytime sun. Okay, so you are the salt of the earth. You react with the daytime sun, which is Jesus, or the salvation. Salt, salvation means healing. Go look at my other video on the generation Abraham, David, and Jesus to have more there. So think about like a pearl. A pearl needs that sand within it in order to become a pearl. The pearl in the oyster needs the sand. The sand creates the friction, and friction creates movement. It creates evolution of, not evolution in the way we conjure evolution in our minds, the old monkey version, but growing your consciousness. Okay, so now let's get into the actual chapter 71. So chapter 71 is the Luminaries, starts the Luminaries, and it says, the book of the revolutions of the luminaries of heaven, according to their respective classes, their respective powers, their respective periods, their respective names, the places where they commence their progress, those are gates, and their respective months, which Uriel, I'll get to Uriel in another video, the holy angel, angels are angels of light, who was with me, explain to me he who conducts them. Okay, I'm not going to read all of chapter 71, but I'm going to hit on some highlights, and I encourage you to go read it. So he says, this is the first law of the luminaries. Now, pause. Law. This is an important word, because law is an order of things. And what he's describing in the movement of the sun and the moon is visible today. You can go fact check Enoch. Okay, you can learn what the sun and moon are doing, exactly how he wrote it. It's the same. So this is law. And the definition of sin means to go against divine law. Let that sink in. Anyone going against the law of the luminaries, you don't get it, you're just still trapped in globy world. The definition of sin is to go against divine law. So a crude way to say it is you're a sinner. Well, what is sin? Sin is just a way to balance you out. Sin is also sine and sine. And that's what all of these are. The sine waves, the sine, you're born into sin, which is your sun's sign. So it's just a way to balance you out and to get you knowing this is the best way to explain sin. Now, I'm not talking about murder and, that's breaking law that needs to be dealt with. I'm talking about even just not understanding this, according to Enoch, is sin. You're called a sinner. Okay, so this is law. Think of it like we call the law of physics. The movement is law. This is the first law of the luminaries. The sun and the light arrive at the gates of heaven, which are on the east and on the west of it at the western gates of heaven. Okay, the sun and the light. Now this kind of goes back to Genesis. And Genesis, it says, it separates the light from the darkness, and it does that with a firmament. It says separating the waters from the waters, but water also means splendor. So just keep that in mind. But it does separate the light from the darkness with the firmament. The way I see it, this is earth, and this is what we call all light, or omni, or source light, or one, all of that. And this is dark earth. So this happens on the first day. It's not till the fourth day that there's a second separation of light. And that's when the sun is created. You may want to watch my black hole sun video, get a little background on that. But so what Enoch says here is the sun and the light arrive at the gates of heaven. So why not just say the sun? Well, because the sun is a portal, as he explains in his system. In some of the books of Enoch, he calls them portals. Because the sun is a portal to the light. The light comes through the firmament via the sun to earth, creating that daytime sun, Jesus, the salvation, the healing. Salvation means healing. So the sun and the light arrive at the gates of heaven. So he goes on to say, which are in the east and which are on the west. So east and west, the sunrise and the sunset. I beheld the gates whence the sun goes forth, and the gates where the sun sets. So sunrise and sunset. Okay. Now, just to show a little more sequencism here. The Egyptians had a deity called Amun, which means all source of creation. So kind of like omni or source light. This light above the firmament. That's how I see it. So Amun is still used in the Bible today. That's where we say amen or amen. M-E-N. Amen. And, oh, just back to that fourth day when the light is created. The sun is created, a light to rule the day, light to rule the night. That it happens on the fourth day because there's 4 seasons in our sky wheel. This is the spring, the summer, the fall, and the winter. So these are the 4 main transition points of the sun, which is used in the Bible and Enoch. 4 main transition points. Okay, so just Egyptians also is Amun, their deity is all the creation of all. So I just want to show some of that syncretism there. All right, chapter 4. Verse 4. In which the gates also the moon rises and sets. And I beheld the conductors of the stars among those who perceive them, 6 gates were at the rising and 6 gates at the setting of the sun. So, let's see. So the sun is moving on this vortex, like I showed here. Going around up to Tropic Cancer, back down Tropic Capricorn. Now, if you're standing here on the earth and you're looking up, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 1, this would be the first gate. 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be first gate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. So here's Aries here. And here's Libra here. Okay, so you're looking up. This is when the sun is in where it is right now in Capricorn, it looks very low in the sky. When it's up here in Cancer, it looks very high in the sky. So this is Enoch's gate system, 6 up, 6 down. So when he says portals or gates, these are positions of the sun in the sky. And it'll be in this position for 31 days, in this position for 30 days, this position for 30 days, etc. And they were at the rising and the setting of the sun. Okay, all these respectively, one after another, are on a level, and numerous windows are on the right and left side of those gates. Okay, so windows. Windows, it is meaning stars. So stars are essentially holes, just like the sun is a hole. So watch my black hole sun video, learn how to see that black hole for yourself in real life. So these are the windows. Now, interesting, window actually means eye hole. And eye hole, if here's your pupil, this would be your lens. So this is the eye as the light comes in to your eye. So this would be the color part of your eye here. Eye hole. You know, window to the soul. It also means breath, door. So again, if these are holes, then that light from the firmament is coming, has some sort of relationship here with the firmament in order to come through these holes, as the sun is as well. So he says there's windows on the they're on a level. Okay. All these respectively, one after another, are on a level, and numerous windows are on the right and left sides of those gates. So the gates, the windows, the stars, and they're on a level. So your position from the ground sees, the sun's position is moving mostly level. It's only going up or down just 1 degree. So It's very, you really can't tell that until it starts to separate into these 4 positions. It gets a little, so day by day by day, it's a little bit hard to tell. You get 7 days in, then you can see, oh, the sun is a little bit higher. So it's moving on the level. Your perception from the ground will always see it as an angle up to a point and an angle back down. That's just basic geometry of when something is moving level and you're standing on the level. Your perception looking up to it will look like a triangle. The A, the first letter of the alphabet. This is the most important, number 1 thing to learn, is how to understand that perspective of the sun. Okay, 5, 6. First proceeds forth that great luminary which is called the sun, the orb of which is as the orb of heaven, the whole of it being replete with splendid and flaming fire. Couple points here. Orb, when you go back in the history of the word orb, actually means disk. Done multiple posts about that. So disk. The sun, we also know, is a disk because at sunset and sunrise, it makes this shape on the water, the eye. Okay, the eye. You see? The eye. Open your eye. And I is the first letter of the Bible. So orb meaning disk, and it's replete with splendid and flaming fire. Okay, so as I was explaining, the sun is a portal bringing in light from beyond the firmament. It's not hot. Eric Dollard's work shows us that, and we can see that it's a black hole with our naked eye when you learn how to sun gaze. So when he uses the word flaming fire, and because I know these other things, I know he's not talking about the sun being flaming fire. He's talking about the sun being here in Aries fire. Right there. So Aries is the first position. Its chariot where it ascends, the wind blows. Okay, wind again meaning breath door or eye hole. Window meaning these things. Breath door, wind. Okay, the sun sets in heaven and returning by the north to proceed towards the east. Returns to the north, proceeds towards the east. This is that compass I was telling you about before. Proceeds towards the east. It is conducted so as to enter by that gate and illuminate the face of heaven. So the sun's about to rise. In the same manner, it goes forth in the first month by a great gate. It goes forth through the 4th of those 6 gates which are at the rising and the setting of the sun. So that first month, he's saying, is gate 4. And this exactly is the syncretism to Exodus 12, explaining that the beginning of the year is at Aries. So that splendid fire again is here at Aries. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing. You definitely need to go and read it, but I'm going to point out a few more passages here. Let's see. So it goes on to explain the sun gaining light. Up here towards the winter, the light starts to become greater than the night, and it gains And then it hits here at Aries, where it's resurrected, becomes equal with the night, and then it's resurrected up to this place here in June, summer solstice, June 21st. And then the light starts to become less than the night. And it explains this whole process in the passages after that. So I'm going to skip ahead to 42, verse 42. At that period, the night becomes shortened. It's 9 parts, and the night is equal with the day. The year is precisely 364 days. So it explains the whole circle. 9 parts, they're using an 18-unit system. Instead of a 24-hour unit system, they're using an 18-unit system. I have theories on why they're using 18 instead of a 24-hour unit system. And one of those theories is because in my work, I've shown that 13 is the pole and the sine wave. The pole and the sun's movement around the pole. So as it goes moving forward, it's going up and down, up and down. So it makes a snake, seemingly snake, which is a sine wave. Well, 18 is the same thing. You just have the sun and the moon's movement around the pole on their sine wave. So there could be other reasons why 18, but I've shown this 18 before, and also in the book of Revelation with its 144 chosen people. See, in Gematria, you're allowed to stack these 4s, which is 18. So it's again, the chosen people, they're figuring this out, the sine wave out. The 666, number of a man, number of beasts, or number of a man. That's what it says. Also 18. Do you figure it out or do you not figure it out? Again, just sun and moon's movement around the pole. So they do use an 18-unit system in telling this story, this law of the luminaries. So where is it? Okay, so the year becomes precisely 364 days. The 360 circle plus 1 day extra day given at each of the seasons. That's why it's 364. Interestingly, Enoch gets taken up on his 365th year. So the man who's describing a 364-day year gets taken up on the 365th year of his life. I use those air quotes because Enoch. See that? Okay. Enoch. H-C-O-N-E. H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. So not only do we have an analemma shape here, but we also have torus field shape, and also within the letter H is torus field shape. And then here we have cone, the movement of the sun. Okay. 45. This is the law and progress of the sun, and it's turning when it turns back, turning during 60 days and going forth. Okay, so the turning is describing this process right in here. These 60 days in here, and these 60 days here. So by turning, what that means is it's reached the bottom of the cone and now it's turning and going back up. Okay, there you also have the turning of the season in that spot right there too, both spot. This is also that which goes forth a great luminary, and which is named after its peculiar kind, as God commanded. Named after peculiar kind. Peculiar means belongs to one. One. So back to our omni light above the firmament. All. So who's that peculiar kind named after? Well, the one that provides this is the sun. So that would be Jesus. Okay, and thus it goes in and out, neither slacking nor resting, but running on in its chariot by day and by night. It shines with the 7th portion of the light from the moon, but the dimensions of both are equal. Well, you don't get clearer than that. The dimensions of both are equal. But here's what's interesting. It shines with a 7th portion of the light from the moon. Okay. Seven portions. So back to that 6 resting on 7. What you have is the sun, 6 portions. 1 portion is given to the moon. This is where Enoch says the moon is new at this first light. So the 1 portion is given here to the moon. So you have the portion of frequency being spread out as the moon waxes and then wanes. So this is all 1 frequency being spread out. That's how I see it. Okay, so let's see. As I was explaining, the 6. So as this portion goes all the way around, comes back, it's on that last crescent here, and then it comes back into its transparent stage here, where you can't see the moon. This is where they become a total 7th portion. But prior to that, it's a 6 and a 1. A 1 and a 6. Well, it's a couple things interesting about 1 and 6 is 1 is the first letter of the alphabet, and 6, A, first letter of the alphabet, and the 6th letter of the alphabet is F. So think of it like a scale. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 7 notes in a scale. A musical scale. So this portion, this frequency gets sent out, and then it comes back around to the set to make a complete 7, and then G is the last note in that scale. So you're 6 resting on 7. But even more interesting is 1.6 is the beginning of the phi ratio, which is the golden ratio, the ratio that's within all things. So I don't know for sure, but potentially as this moon is making its pattern, it may have the exact golden ratio as it's going in and out, because it's also making these loops all the way up to the top, these circles all the way up to the top and all the way back down again. So phi ratio. And just even more interesting is the 16th letter of the alphabet is P for phi. So that's just some fun stuff right there. I think that's all I have for chapter 71. So if you have anything anything else you'd want to add to this in comments, definitely go read chapter 71 for yourself. And thanks for watching.